Welcome back, resilient Stoic warriors. In our journey exploring Stoic philosophy, we've delved into the power of self-awareness and mastering our inner world. Now, prepare to embark on a new chapter, one that will equip you with powerful tools to perceive the world with clarity and objectivity. Unbiased thinking. Our minds, however extraordinary, can be clouded by biases, assumptions, and countless distractions. The Stoics, with their timeless wisdom, recognized this early on and developed a system of practices and principles to help us cultivate a clear mind, uninfluenced by subjective judgments. Today we'll uncover 10 Stoic lessons, precious gems that will guide you on the path to mental clarity. You'll learn how to shield your mind from negativity, avoid the traps of ego and dogma, and focus on what truly matters in the present moment. We'll also explore the power of silence, the tools to overcome cognitive traps, and achieve genuine success in life. If you're ready to sharpen your mental focus, break free from cognitive biases, and make decisions rooted in reason and wisdom, then join me on this enlightening exploration of Stoic unbiased thinking. Before we begin, I have a special invitation for you. If you believe these insights can benefit others, spread the message by liking or sharing this video. It's a wonderful way to show that you want to make a positive difference in the world. Now, let's embark on this journey of discovering the unbiased thinking of Stoicism. Lesson 1. Reshape your thinking are the Stoic blueprint for sculpting the mind. Hello everyone. Let's begin today's lesson with a concept that may seem simple, but carries a profound depth. Your mind is shaped by what you think about most often. This isn't just a motivational slogan, it's a fundamental principle of Stoic philosophy, supported by centuries of wisdom and keen observation. Imagine your mind as a raw block of clay, resting on a sculptor's table. Every thought, belief, or experience you encounter is like an invisible hand, gentle yet powerful, molding and shaping that clay over time. Initially, the block of clay has no clear shape, but gradually, through layers of thoughts and experiences, it becomes sharper, more defined. Each time you focus on a specific thought or emotion, that clay takes on more detail, becoming richer and more complex. To better understand how our thinking is shaped, picture a garden. In this garden, every thought is a seed. If you plant seeds of positivity, gratitude, and forgiveness over time, your garden will bloom with the vibrant flowers of joy and peace. Conversely, if you only tend to seeds of negativity like anger, resentment, or worry, the garden will soon be overrun with weeds and thorns, obscuring the pathways and leaving you feeling lost and directionless. Think of Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers and a Roman emperor. In his work, Meditations, he recorded thoughts and reflections he deemed essential for maintaining clarity and calm amid life's storms. He advised us to constantly examine our thoughts as a way to sculpt the mind. If a negative thought arises, ask yourself, is it really true? Does it serve me in any way? Does it reflect the true nature of the world, or is it just a fleeting reaction, nothing more? This is the essence of reshaping your thinking in Stoicism, not allowing any thought to occupy your mind without scrutiny, much like a strict gatekeeper who only allows beneficial guests to pass through the door of your mind. This practice not only helps us maintain calmness, but also builds a strong sense of self that remains unshaken by external changes. Consider another practical example from everyday life. When you face a challenging situation, such as being criticized or hurt by someone, the natural reaction might be anger, disappointment, or even a desire for revenge. However, if we apply Stoic thinking, we would ask ourselves, does this anger help me in any way? Does it solve the problem? Or does it just add more confusion to my mind? Stoicism encourages us to see such events as rough stones that can be polished into precious gems if we know how to think rightly. Instead of letting anger dictate our actions, we can transform it into understanding, patience, or even learning from the mistakes of others. For example, when criticized, instead of drowning in feelings of hurt, we might ask, "Is there some truth in this? If so, how can I improve? If not, how can I let it go without letting it affect my mind?" This is akin to a sculptor looking at an unformed stone but seeing within it the shape of a beautiful masterpiece. He does not rush or become agitated. He patiently chisels away, with calm and focus. Each precise strike, each fine line, until the stone becomes a work of art. By reshaping your thinking and selecting which thoughts to keep, we are like that sculptor, carefully carving away to make our mind stronger, clearer, and more beautiful. It is not an easy journey, but one that is deeply meaningful and offers true freedom in how we perceive and face the world around us. So start with a small thought each day. Choose what you want to remember and nurture. Be the artist of your own life and begin sculpting your mind with clear, positive, and constructive thoughts. Let your mind become a true work of art, marked with your unique imprint, a signature of clarity and peace. Lesson 2. Nourishing the mind. After understanding the process of sculpting the mind, the next crucial step we must take is to nourish the mind wisely. According to Stoic philosophy, controlling our thoughts does not end with merely eliminating unnecessary ideas. It also involves actively selecting and cultivating what we allow into our minds. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The mind becomes what it frequently thinks about." This is why we must be extremely careful about what we absorb into our souls. Today, we often unintentionally feed our minds with too much junk food without realizing it. Negative news on social media, meaningless gossip at the workplace, complaints from loved ones about their illnesses or problems. All of these are like mental toxins that we consume daily. They infiltrate our minds unchecked, turning our mental space into a garbage bin that processes all kinds of life's waste. But a Stoic does not allow their mind to be invaded by such things. They understand that their mind is a sacred garden that must be tended with care. So how do we nourish the mind in the way of the Stoics? A Stoic knows that the mind should only accept information that is truly useful and meaningful. Instead of consuming sensational, negative, or frivolous news, direct your mind toward sources of knowledge, peace, and growth. Marcus Aurelius always advised us to ask ourselves, is this important? Does it help me live up to my dignity? For example, rather than spending hours each day scrolling through social media, turn to books by Epictetus, Seneca, or works on philosophy, science, and art. In this way, you are actively nourishing your mind with profound ideas and reflections that help build tranquility and wisdom. A Stoic is aware that we are influenced not only by our own thoughts, but also by those around us. Epictetus once said, "You want to improve, be careful with whom you associate. Stay away from people who bring only negative conversations filled with complaints and resentment, and instead connect with those who help you grow and encourage you to improve. For instance, spend time with people who share common values, who you can learn from, or who inspire you to live your best life. Instead of joining gossip or backbiting groups, seek out communities that love philosophy, art, or sports, where your mind is challenged and nourished by positive ideas and experiences." One of the fundamental principles of Stoicism is gratitude for the small things. A Stoic does not expect perfection from the world, but finds contentment in simplicity. Take time every day to acknowledge what you are grateful for, not because you seek grand things, but because you learn to appreciate even the smallest aspects like a gentle breeze, a hot cup of tea, or simply your ability to think and learn. By doing so, you are training your mind to always look at the good nature of life, despite all external fluctuations and challenges. Meditation and mindfulness are essential tools that help Stoics maintain calmness and focus. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Dedicate a little time each day to listen to your mind, to observe thoughts without getting carried away by them. When meditating, focus on recognizing thoughts as they arise, but do not judge or react to them. This helps you develop the ability not to let external events dictate your emotions and actions, but instead to maintain inner calm and control. A Stoic understands that to have a peaceful mind, one must know how to let go of what is no longer useful. Epictetus said, "Only when we let go can we live freely." Learn to leave behind events, emotions, and thoughts that do not serve your purpose. For example, if someone insults you, instead of harboring anger, ask yourself, how important is this really? Does it diminish my value? When you let go of such negative emotions, you will find your mind lighter and more focused on your important goals. A Stoic does not seek joy in luxury or glamour, but finds it in discipline and simplicity. Marcus Aurelius found joy in solitary contemplation, and Seneca encouraged us to enrich life with learning and creativity. You might spend time on creative activities like writing, painting, or even tending a small garden. These activities not only help relax your mind, but also encourage you to look deeper within yourself and discover new potentials. To Lesson 3, the sunk cost fallacy, a common mental trap many of us fall into. This is one of the cognitive mistakes that many of us are prone to, known as the sunk cost fallacy. Imagine a situation. You've planned to go to the movies with your spouse. You bought the tickets in advance, and on the way to the theater you realize it's a beautiful summer evening, and the weather is perfect. You turn to your partner and ask, "Do you really want to go to the movie? Why don't we sit by the lake and watch the sunset instead? Wouldn't that be more enjoyable than sitting in a dark room right now?" And your partner replies, "Yes, I'd like that too, but we already bought the tickets. They cost $20, and if we don't go, we'll waste the $20. This is a classic example of the sunk cost fallacy. The $20 have already been spent. It is a non-recoverable cost and should not influence the decision you make right now. From the Stoic perspective, clinging to such sunk costs is merely a waste of energy and mental focus. We should enjoy the present moment and ask ourselves, what do I truly want to do right now? Go to the movie or sit by the lake and watch the sunset. The $20 should not play any role in that decision. Yet we often find that sunk costs, the investments we've already made, tend to influence our choices. Think about those times when you're involved in a big project, maybe a marketing campaign or a branding initiative. You realize it's not yielding the expected results, but you tell yourself, "But we've already invested millions of dollars in this campaign. We can't stop now." Or imagine you're working at a company you no longer enjoy. You want to change careers, you think about it. You feel you should really make the switch. But then you tell yourself, "But I've invested so many years in this company. I can't leave now." This is how the sunk cost fallacy can trap you in decisions that no longer serve you. We get stuck with projects, jobs, or even relationships simply because we've invested too much in them already. We fear that if we abandon them, all that effort will be for nothing. But in truth, from a Stoic perspective, the only thing that matters is the present, what you can control right now. The costs of the past are unchangeable and should not be the criteria for your current actions. A Stoic would remind themselves that everything in the past is gone. You cannot change the money, time, or effort you have already invested in something. The only thing you can control is your decision in this very moment. Is what you are doing truly adding value to your life? Is it bringing you closer to your goals? Does it make you feel happy, at peace, and true to yourself? We need to learn to pause and ask ourselves these questions rather than continue down a path we already know will not yield the desired results, simply because we've invested too much in it. The wisdom of the Stoics lies in their ability to stop, see clearly, and not let past costs influence their choices in the present. Remember, what is lost, but your freedom and clarity of thought are still within your grasp. So do not let the sunk cost fallacy control you. Always ask yourself, does this decision truly serve my life now? And if it doesn't, don't hesitate to leave the past behind and move forward, because the only thing you truly own is the present moment. Lesson 4. The motivation crowding effect. In exploring how the mind works, there is a common mistake I want to highlight known as the motivation crowding effect. This effect occurs when we introduce monetary incentives into a system that is inherently driven by intrinsic or social motivation. This does not merely change how the system functions, but it also undermines the core values on which that system is built. Imagine this situation. You have a close group of friends who regularly spend time together simply out of genuine friendship and care, but one day you decide to offer them money every time they meet up with you as a way to ensure they always show up. This immediately changes the nature of the relationship. What were once gatherings for joy and connection have now become financial transactions. You will notice that the relationship starts to lose its spontaneity, and the true value of friendship diminishes. It might take a long time, if not forever, to restore the relationship to what it once was. Another example is found in the context of child care centers. Managers of these centers frequently face a familiar problem: parents arriving late to pick up their children. You want to close the center at 5 p.m., but you cannot do so because you always have to wait for the parents to arrive. You can't just put the small children in a taxi and send them home. You must wait until the last parent arrives. So, what is the usual solution in society? Typically, you speak to the parents and explain, "It's not right for you to pick up your child so late. We have to wait here, and that's unfair." This way, you create a bit of social pressure, making the parents aware of the consequences and encouraging them to comply with the rules. But then, one day, some managers came up with an idea that seemed reasonable. Why don't we introduce a monetary fine for parents who arrive late? At first, this seems like a fair solution, right? But do you know what happened next? Being late suddenly became acceptable. Instead of feeling pressure to arrive on time, parents thought, "I've paid the fine, so I have the right to be late." And what happened? They began to arrive later and more frequently. This is a classic example of the motivation crowding effect. By implementing financial measures, you inadvertently eliminate the inherent and social motivations that already existed. Instead of feeling responsible for the community or fairness towards others, parents now think, "I paid the fine, so it's my right." This policy reduces social motivation and transforms a social behavior into a financial transaction. This phenomenon is not limited to child care centers or personal relationships. It appears in many other areas of life and society. Consider charitable programs. Typically, people volunteer out of compassion and a genuine desire to help the community. However, if you start paying them, you risk eroding that intrinsic motivation. People may start helping just for the money, not out of compassion. And when the financial incentive is gone, the motivation to help others might disappear too. We also see this effect in education. Imagine a child who loves learning. They study because they are curious and want to understand the world around them. But if we start paying them every time they do their homework or achieve high grades, the child might begin to study only for the reward, not for the love of knowledge. And when the reward is no longer there, the motivation to learn might vanish. Another example involves the workplace environment. Suppose you are leading a team of employees motivated by the sense of accomplishment, commitment to the organization, or simply because they love what they do. If you decide to reward them with money every time they perform well, what do you think will happen? Initially, they might feel excited about the bonuses, but over time, they may start working solely for the reward, rather than out of passion or commitment. And when the rewards stop, the enthusiasm for the work may disappear. This is why, from a Stoic perspective, we must be very cautious when introducing financial incentives into systems that are based on intrinsic or social motivations. The Stoics understand that true values cannot be measured by money. Friendship, dedication, compassion, and commitment to higher values are things that must be nurtured for their own sake, not for external factors like money. In life, there are values that cannot be bought or sold and should not be stripped of their intrinsic worth. When we focus too much on financial measures, we easily lose our way and forget the true meaning behind sincere actions and motivations. Remember, the motivation that comes from inner passion and commitment is the true source of strength, the path to the virtuous and peaceful life that the Stoic seeks. So when faced with any decision involving financial incentives, ask yourself, does this weaken the true motivation, the inner enthusiasm? And if the answer is yes, look for other ways to nurture and encourage positive behavior without diminishing its core value. A Stoic does not seek ease. They seek paths that lead to truth and a deeper understanding of human nature and life. Lesson 5, the know-it-all attitude, a disagreeable character trait. All right, everyone, let's talk about a character trait that can be as off-putting as a foul odor in the air, the know-it-all attitude. We've all encountered people who seem to have an opinion on everything, from politics and economics to science and art, and they always believe they are right. They speak confidently about topics they barely understand, dismiss opposing viewpoints with ease, and often act as if they have figured out the entire universe. Indeed, confidence is a valuable trait, but there is a fine line between confidence and arrogance. Those with a know-it-all attitude frequently cross this line, turning their confidence into a form of unpleasant arrogance, and the reality is that this arrogance not only repels others, but also becomes a significant obstacle to personal growth. This is where Stoic philosophy, an ancient school of wisdom, helps us understand the value of intellectual humility. In Stoic philosophy, one of the core principles is to maintain humility and to recognize the limitations of one's own knowledge. Philosophers like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius emphasize that true wisdom does not come from accumulating knowledge, but from recognizing the vastness of what we do not know. They believed that the wise person never stops learning, never stops seeking the truth, and above all, never becomes complacent with what they already know. Epictetus, one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers, never missed an opportunity to challenge his students' egos. He once said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." This teaching, when deeply contemplated, serves as a warning against the dangers of the know-it-all attitude. If you believe you already know everything, you are effectively closing yourself off from new ideas, new perspectives, and the possibility of being wrong. You become like a cup that is already full, leaving no room for anything else to be poured in. To understand the impact of this attitude more clearly, let's consider a real-life example. Imagine you have a colleague at work who always seems to have an opinion on everything. During a meeting to discuss a new strategy, this person constantly interrupts others, dismisses every idea because they believe they have the correct answer. They speak about marketing methods they have never tried, comment on technologies they do not understand, and judge everything without truly listening. The result? Not only do people feel annoyed and frustrated, but no effective discussion takes place because their know-it-all attitude stifles creativity and new solutions. In contrast, a Stoic would choose a different path. They would approach the meeting with a humble and open mind. They know that while they may have experience and knowledge, there is always something to learn from others. Instead of arguing, they listen, ask questions, and reflect. They're not afraid to admit that they might be wrong or that they might not know something. This approach not only shows respect for others, but also helps them grow and expand their own understanding. Another example can be found in the field of education. Imagine a teacher who always believes they know everything about the subject they are teaching. They refuse to change their teaching methods, reject new ideas from colleagues or students, and always believe their way is the best. The result? The students become bored, lose interest in learning, and their academic performance does not improve. If the teacher could accept that there are different approaches to teaching, they might discover new and more effective methods, motivate students, and improve the quality of education. The Stoics believe that intellectual humility is a crucial virtue because it helps us maintain curiosity and the ability to learn throughout our lives. A person with a know-it-all attitude not only isolates themselves from personal growth, but also loses the opportunity to connect deeply with others because they do not respect the opinions and perspectives of others. Intellectual humility allows us to recognize our own imperfections so that we can continually strive to become better. Stoic philosophy teaches that instead of being complacent with what we already know, we should always keep an open mind, be willing to learn, and recognize that every day brings an opportunity to grow. We should welcome different opinions and seek the truth, rather than try to prove ourselves right. Be an empty cup, always ready to receive new drops of knowledge, instead of a cup that is already full, leaving no room for anything else. To Lesson 6, focusing on the present, the art of managing a time-traveling mind. Our minds are like sophisticated time machines, constantly traveling between the past and the future. We frequently replay old arguments, relive past traumas, or daydream about future successes and failures. While this mental time travel can sometimes be useful, such as when we learn from the past or plan for the future, it is also one of the greatest sources of stress, anxiety, and unhappiness. Think about this. Have you ever spent an entire evening obsessing over a conversation that happened earlier in the day? You replay every word, analyze every detail, wondering if you should have said something different or whether the other person misunderstood you. You become immersed in the past, trying to find explanations or wishing to change something that is no longer within your control. Or have you ever found yourself lying awake at night, worrying about an upcoming presentation, an important meeting, or a bill due next month? These thoughts repeat in your head, preventing you from relaxing and enjoying a good night's sleep. In moments like these, you are not truly present in your life. You are missing out on the beauty, joy, and opportunities right in front of you. You allow your mind to steal you away from the present moment, and that is a recipe for dissatisfaction and regret. Stoicism, an ancient philosophy, recognized this temptation and emphasized the importance of focusing on the present. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, said, "Only the present belongs to us. The past is gone, the future is yet to come. Only this moment truly exists." This does not mean we should ignore the past or never plan for the future. Rather, it means we should not let ourselves be carried away by thoughts that don't add value to the present moment. We must learn to master our minds, guiding them toward the present, where life truly happens. For example, imagine you're taking a walk in the park on a beautiful afternoon. Instead of enjoying the fresh air, listening to the birds sing, and feeling the warm sunlight on your skin, you find yourself caught up in thoughts about a tense meeting the day before, or worrying about what to prepare for dinner later. You miss out on this wonderful and relaxing moment because your mind has wandered away from the present. You are not truly living in your life, which leads to feelings of fatigue, stress, and dissatisfaction. A Stoic would advise you to stop, take a deep breath, and focus on what is happening around you. Pay attention to the sensations in your body, the sounds of nature, or the cool breeze on your skin. When you do this, you're focusing on the present. You're living fully in this moment. In this way, you not only reduce anxiety and stress, but also find joy and peace in the simplest of things. Another example can be found at work. You have an important project approaching its deadline, and you are anxious about everything that could go wrong. You start imagining all the worst-case scenarios. The project will fail, you will be criticized, you might even lose your job. These thoughts cause you anxiety and reduce your productivity. But if you apply Stoic thinking, you realize that all these worries are just predictions about the future, a future you cannot fully control. Instead, you focus on what you can do right now. Carefully plan, complete each small task to the best of your ability, and accept that the final outcome is not entirely in your hands. This approach also applies to personal relationships. You might have had an argument with a loved one and cannot stop thinking about what happened, what you said, or what you should have said differently. But if you remain stuck in the past, you will never find peace and cannot repair the relationship. A Stoic would advise you to let go of the past, focus on the present, and find ways to build the relationship based on what is happening right now, rather than remaining forever immersed in what has already passed. In conclusion, focusing on the present is a valuable skill that Stoic philosophy encourages us to develop. It helps us enjoy life more fully, relieve unnecessary stress and anxiety, and find peace in the simplest moments. Stop letting your mind time travel, and instead, live with full awareness in the present.